What is good? What is good? Back at it again. Week 9. Fancy Matt, how are we feeling, gentlemen?
What's going on?
Fancy, is that like a little Packers like card that you got next to you, or what? A little yellow
Oh, no, that's a lamp.
oh, is a Packers lamp?
No, it's a phone
Just
holder.
Phone holder?
Yeah,
I heard butt holder at first. That's why I was like,
just set your
oh,
phone on it.
cool. I thought maybe he had like a cool little
That's what it looked like for a
like the
second.
little D with you, Matt, like something cool. But hey, welcome back. We appreciate you guys tuning in. Lots of stuff happening around the NFL as always. Things are probably going to spice up even more. With I don't think the trade deadline has completely ended yet. I'm not 100% sure on that.
Next week.
Yeah, so you're going to start seeing some rapid fire things. But we had Deontay Johnson move from the Panthers to the Ravens. Better situation for him, and honestly, something that the Ravens kind of needed, right? When Zay Flowers is your number one. Not saying that Zay Flowers isn't talented because we all love him. He's a great receiver, but kind of missing that other guy there, right? When
Bateman.
It's not.
He's not just
number
going to
two.
get it done. Yeah,
exactly. And then speaking of wide receivers, Stephon Diggs torn ACL. Hate to see it happen, especially with Nico Collins still out until at least next week. He will probably return to the game when they play Detroit. But Tank Dell is pretty much going to be the number one in Houston this week on a short week. But we'll get into those games in a little bit. But some of the controversy this week during the week has been one of the biggest news of the Colts deciding to bench Anthony Richardson at 22 years old, right? They drafted him with the 4th overall pick and they benched him. Somebody made a thread, which this is what I wanted to talk about with you guys, was, the thread is basically, does the NFL have a QB development problem? And I'll just list these guys, right? Anthony Richardson, 22 years old, benched. Bryce Young, 23 years old, benched. Trey Lance, 24, benched. Justin Fields, 25, benched. Will Levis, 25, benched. Zach Wilson, 25, benched. Mac Jones, 26, benched. Kenny Pickett, 26, benched. Now, when you go to the other side of things, of guys that are having success in this league, Aaron Rodgers sat for 3 years. We can all agree Aaron Rodgers is a Hall of Famer. Jordan Love sat for 3 years. Jordan Love is looking great last year and this year if he can just stay healthy this year. Patrick Mahomes sat a year. Hall of Fame quarterback, probably the next quarterback to get a statue, after him. Tom Brady sat 2 years. Kirk Cousins sat 4 years. Phillip Rivers sat for 3 years. So, are we seeing teams give up on quarterbacks too early? Or is it a mixture of that, or just the fact that when you do draft these guys, it is better off just to have them sit behind a veteran quarterback for a little bit, kind of like what the Atlanta Falcons are doing right now with Kirk Cousins and Michael Penix? Is that going to be the move moving forward? Or do we really think that these teams are just going to keep throwing them to the wolves of hey, good luck? You know what I mean?
Yeah. The toughest part is top 4 names you named, right? They're going on to teams that have so many more issues. So that's why they're in the position they're in to get one of the top ranked quarterbacks.
Right.
So they have no other choice but to throw them right into it. And you're right. They don't get to develop. There's no transition period. It's here you go. We've got so much hype that you're going to be the next great thing, but they don't have a learning curve. They have to just get thrust into that. So I think, with those 4 names that you led with on top, that's the situation they were in. Of course they're going to fall on their face, maybe even just the first couple games, but that's why the success comes with, having a veteran quarterback you can learn from, practices that you can learn from them and develop. And unfortunately, these young guys are not getting that opportunity.
Yeah, you definitely want to. I was watching a thing earlier about this with them talking about in college they make these guys win games and to help with recruiting. It's like the college coaches and programs don't have any incentive to prepare them for the league. The coaches are maintaining their job. So it's like, you're going to do this.
This is what's going to win
what happens when you graduate, I don't care. It's not that they don't care, but it's like,
it's not my job.
I have other stuff to worry about.
Yeah.
I got to find the next one of you out of 17-year-olds.
Yeah.
And then get him ready. And it's like, so yeah. And like, exactly what Matt said, it's like, who are they going to follow? Some of these guys, who are they going to sit behind?
Yeah, I think, yeah, absolutely. That was literally where I stemmed from in my thought process, because I'll get into what I was thinking, but like that was my thing, was like guys like Will Levis, right? Like, to just use him off this list, or Kenny Pickett. Like, who are you coming in after? Kenny Pickett comes in after Big Ben. He's not there anymore.
Right.
Yeah.
So who is
With
there?
huge expectations.
Exactly. So you're walking in trying to fill Big Ben's shoes, and you're in front of Mason Rudolph. Like, that's where I'm just like, even if you bench him, he's not going to learn anything of like, hey, that's how I throw a pick. You know what I mean? Like, he's not going to learn anything else.
Learn how to take a helmet to the head.
Yeah, exactly. But same thing with Mac Jones. I mean, I saw this list. I saw Mac Jones and Kenny Pickett just throw off the board. Like, they were just stuck off the board with me, because both of them, Mac Jones follows up Brady, Kenny Pickett follows up Big Ben. How is that even fair, right?
Mm-hmm.
And like, the Patriots just kept plummeting for Mac Jones. I still think Mac Jones will find his way around the league at some point. I don't know where he'll get an opportunity at, but I think he will get one more opportunity. But for me personally, yes, Bryce Young was thrown into the Wolves. So was Will Levis. So was Zach Wilson. So was Justin Fields in some way, right? But to me, Anthony Richardson was not, and either was Trey Lance. Look at the quarterbacks that have had success in San Francisco.
Well, hold on. Trey Lance isn't necessarily out, like, benched because he sucks.
Right. No,
and neither is Justin Fields.
Did trade him, is what I'm saying. They drafted him at number 2 and then got rid of him like it was nothing. Like,
yeah,
so that's where
Brock Purdy. I mean,
right. So that's what I mean is he couldn't have success in the 49ers. So that's what's confusing. And then same thing with Anthony Richardson. The Colts have one of the best offensive lines in the game. They have one of the best top 5 running backs. They have a top wide receiver. Josh Downs is exploding this year as their number 2, 23 years old. It's like, there's weapons there. And that is their offensive coordinator is one of the old Eagles like coach or whatever, and he was great for us. So it's like, and then I saw montages of literally Anthony Richardson, and it's him throwing football, like basic passes, and they're just dropping the football. You know what I mean? They're wondering why his percentage is 52, and everyone's dropping the football. But then you see the other side of it of like the really bad ones. And it's like, some of these times you almost seem like he either throws an 80-yard bomb right on the money, or he misses a 5-yard receiver by 10 feet. It's like, there's no in between. It's like,
no, but take all that aside, like the throwing and all that. He came out because he was tired last game.
That's why he lost the job.
You know what I mean? Like, that comes down to everything aside. They're going away from him because he's not a football player at that point. He's not out there for the next play. So of course,
that's where
I saw a thing. Chase Daniels came out. You guys know Chase Daniels, like longtime backup quarterback. Kind of made his way around the league. Very well respected player, though. I know people say, "Oh, he's backup quarterback," like fuck off, whatever. But it's like a very well respected player who stayed around the league for a really long time. And when he stepped into games, he won his team those games. Like, you looked at it with the Chiefs, he stepped into a lot of Chiefs games and won them games that everyone thought, it's the Chiefs backup. It's like he came in and won important games for them to make a playoff run. He came out and said, like, when you do that, you disrespect the entire game, and you disrespect every single offensive player and offensive lineman that gives their fucking heart out for every single play. Because all offensive linemen, I don't know if you guys know this or not, but they are not built for cardio. Anthony Richardson, you are an athletic 22-year-old dual system quarterback who should not be tired with as many games as you've missed in your career. Like, in
the first quarter.
Yes.
No, and then they did a draw play the next play anyways. So appreciate
it was definitely
your breather there.
So I mean, I could see both sides of the thing. You see guys having success, but when you look at the guys that have success for me, I'm not exactly sure who Kirk Cousins sat behind. Like, I'm not 100% sure. But you look at Rodgers, he sat behind Favre. You look at Love, he sat behind Rodgers. So clearly that system works for Green Bay, right? And then you see Brady, he sat behind, for a little year. Mahomes to Alex Smith, all that. It clearly works when you have that guy. You know what I mean? When you have that guy that is not only good enough to teach, but is willing enough to teach. Some guys are just like, hey, it's my job. I don't give a fuck if you learn or not. You know what I mean? I'm securing my spot. Like,
that's how Brett Favre was. But one of the things that if you look back on the Packers season this year with Malik Willis, is you're kind of getting a hint of that, where it's like, hey, we need you to come in here, and it's like you're getting it done. Not crazy stats, but it's like that's a win. That's 3 games we've needed you, and 3 dubs.
Look at that move in the off season. Oh, no, it was technically mid-season, like where you guys picked up Malik Willis.
Yeah,
and it's like he's won you games, and every single time he comes in, at some points he does look better than Love. Not saying you guys are gonna start him or anything like that, but I'm just saying there's
No.
sometimes he comes in, I'm just like, this offense is moving now. Like it's
Yeah,
like
that's
there's
a
like a
good-
sense of urgency. And there's gonna be teams that go around, and hopefully it doesn't go to like a team like the Browns or the Jets or something that's in poverty, but like hopefully he gets a good shot at it because I think it'd be fun. Maybe it even seem like with the Rams with Sean McVay. Like
You know what I see with him in this case, and I know this is kind of getting off topic of starting quarterbacks, but we had Matt Flynn who carried us when Rodgers, I think, broke his collarbone.
Mhm.
And then he finally got his chance to go be a starter quarterback somewhere, which I was like, that's great. The same year, the Seahawks drafted Russell Wilson, so he got benched right away.
yeah.
He did get a ring though, a second one.
Yeah.
So he's got one for two
He's
teams.
at more than Rodgers.
He's got more than Rodgers, and not near
No,
as
yeah.
banged up.
So that
But
was just the
anyway.
fun thing I want to talk about because I definitely understand both sides of it. Like I totally understand it, but it's like, for the Lions, like not being funny, how do you draft the quarterback and have him sit behind someone with like, you know what I'm saying? Like right now would be when you need to do it, like now, you know what I mean? But if you lose golf and you go through another quarterback, even with the Browns, they draft the quarterback. Who you want to learn behind Watson? You know what I'm saying? Like there's it's like what quarterback is old? Like it's almost like the Rams. It's like the Rams right now need a draft. Like they should have drafted one last year, like a top one, and then they made him sit behind Stafford for 2 years. But
Yeah.
what teams don't want to
Mhm.
invest because they can invest like right now they had Jared Verse, right? It's like they want to win now, and so like that's always and that's what's ruining like the mentality of some of these teams. The structures of it is like they are planning for now, and then when now doesn't work, they have nothing left. Like they have, you know what I'm saying? Then it's like rebuild again. And it's like if you had like a little bit of a structure of like, yeah, we can get a top like D lineman, or we can draft a young guy that we really like, have Stafford learn behind him, or in front or whatever, and then sign a D line guy. You know what I mean? It's just like, but they'd rather say, hey, we drafted this guy. You know what I mean? It's like, well, now you don't have a quarterback. So which
Yeah.
one's harder, a D lineman or a quarterback? Like, so just a
Yeah.
fun little thing I wanted to bring up before we
Yep.
get into your picks. But with that being said, we'll go into our picks. We are having a little bit of technical difficulties. Everything will look the same on your guys' end, but there is some issues on StreamYard that we're having. So me and Matt had to work together here. So Matt's kind of doing the behind the scenes for us this week. So if there's a little bit of delay or whatever else, just bear with us.
Yep,
But
let's hope
week
for the
8
best.
was another solid week for us. Fancy 9-7, falling a little bit behind Matt. You're 74-49 on the year now. I went 10-6, 71-52, kind of catching up a little bit on Fancy, and Matt kind of running away with things, going 13-3 this week. A very impressive week with 16 games on the slate and a record of 78-45 on the season. So super dope to see you doing well, Matt. And on top of
Well
that,
done.
me and Matt went last night to see our consensus pick because we keep talking about it. We keep talking about how our consensus picks seem to be so good. And Matt, it was just funny to see me and you go through it. Week 1, I'm like, yeah, we're 6-2 week 1. And then Matt was like, uh-oh. I was like, what? 5-2 week 2. 5-8 week 2. Oh shit. What? Week 3, 3-6. Uh-oh. Like maybe
Not
we weren't
looking
as
good,
good,
yep.
And then 5-4, 5-3. And then the last 3 weeks, 10-0, 8-1, 8-2 for a combined record of 50-26. So meaning every single time me, Fancy, and Matt agree on a pick, we are 50-26. And like I was telling you, Fancy, to lead us off with, Thursday Night Football, all 3 of us picked the Texans. The last 3 weeks, we are 26-3. So getting hot. You know what I mean? We're getting
Yeah.
hot.
Yep.
Oh,
I was surprised to see all 3 of us pick the Texans on Thursday Night Football. Obviously, Diggs, ACL, Nico Collins still on IR. They are in New York, so we'll see what Stroud can do, against a tough Jets defense with very limited weapons. That the offense still has, Joe Mixon, Dalton Schultz, Tank Dell. I'm sure there'll be, I think, Mechie, the third, he'll be stepping up a little bit. That's the guy who left his rookie year because he had cancer, came back. Really, really, really dope story there.
Yeah, good on him.
Yeah. So it'd be cool to see him in the mix a little bit more. He might even play more in a wide receiver 1 role because we know Tank Dell is not that wide receiver 1 type of player. But Fancy, give me your rundown of what you see coming into this Thursday Night Football matchup and why you picked the Texans.
Yeah, I mean the Jets as a whole, they're kind of the New York Cowboys right now. They have a lot of high played weapons that, I mean, anybody, if you just ask at any random time, do you want this person on your team? Most people are going to say yes, and they put them all together, and somehow they still are struggling, even on some of their cleaner games. It's just bad clock management, not clutch at the right time. with a little bit of injuries that the Texans do have, I guess that explains the 1.5 point spread, which kind of caught me off guard. But I mean, I think this should be easy pickings for kind of get everything back on track, get some confidence underneath you, and keep moving forward after that close one that you had with the Colts.
Yeah, especially your guys are down and out. You got Nico out. You got that's tough news. Diggs was having a great year. You never want to see a guy like him go down. Definitely will affect them moving forward, going to the playoffs. Like what they'll do, because they're gonna have Nico, Tank, and hopefully those guys can stay healthy the rest of the season. But yeah, definitely one of those things for me with the Jets. I really don't know what's going on. It's kind of like a Madden franchise where they have all the right pieces. We talk about it all the time. It could look great on paper. That does not mean it's going to work out, right? I mean, we see that, not to switch sports, right? But we see it with sports sometimes. I mean, look at the Yankees down 3-0 in the World Series. They won last night, so 3-1 now, and they're playing currently. But it's one of those things where that team is stacked. Doesn't mean it's going to work out when the time comes. You know what I mean? So will the Jets figure this out? We all picked the Texans, so of course this will probably be the week that Jets come out and it's like, holy shit, this team's going to the playoffs. You know what I mean? It'll be that confusing. Like now they're 3-6. They're still not out, you know what I mean? Whatever.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, that's kind of where I stood too, is just like the Texans got to get it done. The Jets, talking about foundation wise, the Texans, I'm a huge fan of D'Amico Ryans. I really am.
Yeah.
I think they're just disciplined. And the Jets are kind of still in that circus fiasco they got going on over there. They don't know who's in charge. They don't know who's running things. They don't know who to listen to. I mean, it's messy, and hopefully they clean it up, because I would like to see that team somehow start to click.
Give me one good game. Give me one good game.
Maybe one good game where they all look good. So we'll see. But then another kind of interesting matchup. Start out with the noon slate games. We had the Falcons against the Cowboys. All of us took the Falcons. The Cowboys 3-4. All three of us favoriting them. Not saying that it doesn't mean much, but the books are favoring them as well. The Cowboys could go 3-5 here. I mean, and I don't know who they played. Oh, after this week, they play Philly. So 3-5. And then I want to say they're in Philly for the first week. I could be wrong. But either way, Philly's starting to click finally, right? Not even trying.
They're getting the ball rolling.
Philly's starting to click. We've played probably at our lowest floor possible, and we're still winning games. And now we're starting to click. Just imagine when things are going full here. So Matt, I'll give you your chance here. Give me the rundown of why you think the Cowgirls are just going to get stomped by Kirk O'Chains.
I mean, I loved, maybe it was because it was against Tampa Bay again, but Kirk again just throwing the hell out of the ball, which was great. Again, you see Bijan in the run game also, working, but I have the confidence in Kirk. The Cowboys really just got the garbage time, which they weren't going to come back and win that. They actually looked solid at the end of the game, trying to come back. So CD kind of looked like a hero too.
And that's what not to cut you off. That's where I feel like Dak Prescott's stats are so padded sometimes, because it's either garbage time because they're down a bunch and the defense already got yanked, or they're up so much against the Jaguars, or a weak team of they're just beating up on them, and it's just so frustrating because people see it and they get. I mean, fans, all about it. They get they glimpse of hope, and it's just like, we are going to the Super Bowl.
So spoiler alert, in my DK, last week, that's kind of what I counted on was garbage time. He's going to get those passing yards.
Yep.
Same thing this week is my spoiler alert. I think again they're going to be down in this game, and the run game is atrocious. So they go to the air. That's what they're. So again, I'm banking on him padding those stats in my DK lineup, just like I did last week, because I think Falcons, are going to start to run away with this because they're a balanced team. They can now not only can they run, but they can pass the ball too.
Yeah, and I feel like, I don't know about you, Fancy, not to detour this whole thing. I feel like for now on, Matt cannot pick double tight end in Fantasy anymore, in DraftKings anymore, because he didn't even know last week was National Tight End Day, which I feel like that should be marked on his calendar, and he should have had a hoodie that said "I love tight ends." But
I was surprised. I had it marked on mine, and I thought he was going to bring it up for the pod last week.
It was like you just were waiting for him. It was one of those.
I
things
had a big circle on it, with a LT. And
I
was
mean,
just like,
I don't know what you guys are talking about because I had Kadon and Zach Ertz, and
You do
they
that every
put up-
week though, so it's not even like you knew. It was a surprise. They said it's I guess it's every fourth week in October.
Okay.
So I didn't, or yeah, every fourth weekend of football in October, which I didn't know that. So like now it makes sense because Scott Hansen was saying it's not a set day. It's just like it's a
Gotcha.
set game, if that makes sense. It's like the fourth
yeah,
game in.
it's like Easter.
Yeah. So, but yeah, Falcons, they look better. The Cowboys, not even the best team in Texas anymore.
Man,
That short stint that they had. But Jerry Jones kicking everyone that's in his room. The nephews, the cousins, the daughters, the sons, all of them. They don't know what they're doing. And Kirko looking good, man. And speaking of national tight ends, Kyle Pitts. I was like, what the fuck is
He's a
going on?
football player
2
again,
catches,
apparently.
82 yards, and 2 touchdowns, whatever it was. I was like, the last 4 weeks, if you look at his stats, they are great. Like, he's on pace for another 1,000-yard season, which you love to see. He's still 23 years old, 24 years old. It's like he's got his whole career ahead of him, and I'm stoked that they finally got an offensive coordinator and a quarterback that can just get him the football and get him to fully, fill his value there.
I got a question for you. When you text me that about Pitts, was it because you saw that he scored a second touchdown?
No.
Or was it because
the
he
fact
didn't
that he
score that
dropped
one?
the foot? Yes,
Okay.
yes. It was not the fact that he was scoring. I'm glad he was because I have him on
Okay.
fantasy. But it was the fact that he was holding the football back behind his thing, and that I don't know how that counted as a touchdown. I
There's
genuinely
no
don't
way that was a
because
touchdown. Yeah.
they reviewed it like 5 times. I'm like, that is not a touchdown, and they still called it. I'm just like, I don't know.
They didn't have a camera with the right angle. I watched the whole thing on this.
It's like
I know they didn't have a camera with the right angle that would have been enough. Like if you just get it the right angle, it's like it would have been enough to overturn it.
Yeah.
And
I'll
then,
tell you
but
what,
it's
he
like
probably
because
got
they
lit.
called it.
He probably got
Oh,
lit
yeah.
up for that, and he probably will never do it
Oh,
again.
yeah.
So I just like,
Yeah.
dude, hold it high and tight. You know what I mean? Like, goodness gracious.
Just follow through.
And then the Bills, Dolphins. We all took the Bills. The Bills looking great. Should be going on a 7-2. The Dolphins still just trying to figure things out with Tua being back. Hopefully it's a good game. I see -6. I think that is a little high. I think it ends up being a 1-score game. I know the spread still says that, but I still think it comes down to a field goal or something very, very close. I don't think it's going to be a blowout by any means. But we all did pick the Bills there. And then we have the Bengals and Raiders. I mean, the records there look awful. I don't, you know what I mean? Like I really, that's what caught my eye right away. We all did take the Bengals. Fancy, you have a pick on our parlay that has to do with the Bengals.
Yeah.
But I mean, I don't really know if there's much to talk about here. I mean, we all took the Bengals, and
the only thing I'll add is this. I love the positive attitude of Burrow in the presser after the game. Talking about what's your outlook on the season, essentially, right? And it's like he said, "Hey, we got to get to 10 wins. That's what can get us in the playoffs. That means we got to go 7 out of 9. That's what we're going for, right?
Yeah,
like
that's the next goal.
And so obviously, you take it week by week, but he's got the mindset of we're not out yet. Like we're just going to keep going forward. We're just going to keep trying to win games. So credit to him because we didn't think they were going to be 3-5 at this point. So he's still moving forward, business as usual.
Their record,
and a tough loss though. I mean, I'm not even saying that as an Eagles fan. Like the Eagles looked great. I mean, I told you guys if they hold the team like to time of possession, the Bengals won't be close, and that's exactly what they did. Hurts. They limited Hurts' ability to throw the football, which when he did, he made great plays. We saw that huge play to Devontae Smith, but Barkley was involved a ton. Hurts was involved a ton on the tush push. Like if they control the ball on the ground, there's not going to be a lot of teams that can keep up with the pace.
There's no
of the
clock
game
stoppage.
There's no like, and so it wears the defense out. It makes the offense super cold, which we talked about it. The Bengals are reliant on getting that offense on the field and putting up 40 points. That's how they've been winning games this season. And so the Eagles took that away from them. And our secondary even has been looking better since Cooper DeJean has been playing. I mean, he's one of the highest rated DBs in the game right now as a rookie. So, I mean, the Eagles are starting to figure things out on the secondary. So, I mean, that's a tough loss because if they have anyone else on the matchup, it could be an easy 4-4. If this matchup was last week, they're walking in this week 4-4. You know what I mean? So, you can't let it trick you.
There's a lot of those games that have been like we've talked about, high scoring. They just got outscored still, And if there was, it's probably the worst record currently that I would still be willing to put some money on in making it to the playoffs.
The Bengals?
Yeah. Yeah. I wouldn't be surprised if they made it at all. I wouldn't say I'd put a paycheck on it. I'm not, but it's like I could see them still getting
Yeah,
in because
they still
they
got
do
work
look
ahead of
good.
them, but
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I like it. I like it. Matt, next one for us. Ooh,
Ooh.
finally got our first. I was gonna say this is only one. It's literally just one matchup that we all finally. All right, let's keep that one for the last one then, and let's go. Let's start out. Saints Panthers. Saints 2-6. Panthers 1-7. Yikes.
we're gonna see Derek Carr. So that's kind of exciting.
Right.
Against
Yeah.
the Panthers though, but
Yeah,
good to have him
explain to
back.
me why you, Matt, out of all people, you're so intelligent. Why did you pick the Saints over the Panthers? What made you think that this was the right pick?
Panthers are still trash. So no, it's an interesting because again, we're gonna see Bryce Young at quarterback for the Panthers. They just lost, not only did they lose, Thielen this whole time, but now they lost their other star wide receiver to that trade. The one interesting part I'll say about the Panthers though, you can't understand him, but Xavier Legette, he might have a chance to be a superstar for that team. And then I keep talking about the Panthers, but I'm excited for Brooks to get an opportunity. He's finally activated, back to practice. Don't know that we're going to see him this week, but we might, maybe just a couple
Yeah, I
snaps.
saw he's predicted 3 points, but I don't know how much they plan on.
Yeah, that just means he's
Put him in
active, and so they think that he might get a chance to get a couple snaps at
Right.
least. But yeah, I'm excited for maybe next week for him to get some action.
Yeah, and poor Chuba Hubbard. I mean, having a great year. I mean, and then they dropped the guy first round, so they're gonna give him a chance.
Yep.
The Commanders, Giants, I'll pick the Commanders. Obviously, I mean it stands out 6-2 and 2-6. We don't care. The Giants, literally Daniel Jones and the Giants have not scored a touchdown in MetLife, and I think it goes back to like week 14 last year.
And still a great defense.
I have no idea what's going on there. But we all picked the Commanders. Fancy. All of us picked the Patriots here, which I know this game. It's like, who cares? You can debate either side, but 2-6, 1-6. I still was surprised we all picked the Patriots. Maybe that is crazy. Maybe because I mean, almost minus 200 there for the Titans. Like that is crazy to me that the Patriots almost came out on top last week. Or no, they did come out on top last week, right?
Yeah, they did one. Yeah.
And so it's like they've shown they can win games, like even when they're not supposed to. Or no, did they win last week?
Yeah, they beat the Jets.
Yeah, Stevenson popped in.
That's
Yeah,
with
right.
like 20
Ramondre
seconds left.
Stevenson. Yeah.
That's what I thought. Okay, I was like, wait a minute, because then that's right, because they start off 1-0 and they almost won week 2 and they blew it. So I thought they started off 2-0. That's why I was like, wait a minute. So like with them being so not favored, Fancy, like what did you see in the Patriots? Like
It's not what I saw in them, and I do like Ramondre Stevenson. It's the Titans, and I feel like every time I see them, I'm just like, I mean, like we talked about Will
like
Levis
stepped
and
on
everything.
shit. You see him
I know
look,
that is.
damn
Did
it.
it hurt?
Yeah.
Did it?
It's just like I don't know. They got rid of Vrabel, and it's like I'm not sure that was the right move. And that's it. It's like I feel that's kind of like it's like the Jets in a way. Not that they're as talented on paper, but it's just like I don't even know where to start with what the problem might be.
It's just on fire, and you just don't know where to put it out at.
Yeah,
It's like
Patriots have shown hope. They've shown a little bit of life, given what they do have.
Yeah, which is fun to see because like Drake May has looked honestly really well and very like composed
and he got to sit a little bit.
Yeah. And so like it is really nice to see they have no offensive weapons whatsoever. I mean, none. I mean, Hunter Henry is the leading receiver, I'm pretty sure. Stevenson, good running back. I mean, I'm not like digging him. Antonio Gibson is backup, not bad. But I'm saying for him to throw to, it's like the Patriots are in a complete rebuild, but it's that glimpse of hope when they're rebuilding. It's like you see them almost beat teams they should have no business beating, And like that's the better rebuild. The Titans just look awful every single week. Like
Yeah.
every week they look worse and worse and worse. And it's like,
I don't know. What I was gonna say is Titans, if they only had to play one quarter,
oh
they looked great in the first quarter against the Lions. Ridley with
yeah,
100 yards.
14-14. Yeah.
Yeah, they did keep up. That was
When I
But-
saw it, I
but-
was like, oh shit, the Lions are about to get a loss that they like
Yeah,
probably
so
did not have.
so they got
planned.
it. They've got it in them. Like, they showed
Well, dude.
but only in one quarter. The rest of the game,
Yeah.
you can't look at
But
the rest of the game.
and I
'cause it
told you
was
guys
bad.
that I genuinely thought. Now, I mean, that's something to complete debate on another topic, and we'll get into that next week because that's what I have for next week is basically which head coach is the next fired if they don't get fired by next week.
Right.
Mike McCarthy.
But like Brian Callahan's got to be on that seat soon because you're 1-6 going into this. They still believed in Will Levis. They were very confident in him. They picked up Tony Pollard. They have Tyjae Spears. Their running back core is great. I mean, Tony Pollard and Tyjae Spears have had good seasons. Then wide receiver wise, DeAndre Hopkins. I know they just traded him. I know Calvin Ridley, and then Traylon Burks. Like that is. Or no, I'm sorry, Tyler Boyd. So that is a 3 combo. Like Hopkins, Ridley, and Boyd. I mean, those are 3 great guys that have gone over 1,000 yards multiple seasons in their career. Maybe Boyd only once with the Bengals, but I mean, like, what is missing there? And they have a Okonkwo, the tight end, who's like super fast, young, athletic kid. It's like, what the hell is going on? You know what I mean? Of like, they prioritize their offensive line. So I don't know. But we all took the Patriots. The book doesn't think so. We'll have more to talk about with the Patriots when it goes to our parlay. But we'll get
Hold
to a fun game. What's that?
No, before we Lions hangover. We talked about it last week, and it came true. Both those matchups lost. So here, even though the books have them, if we continue the trend of Lions hangover, Titans can't win this game. So that's why it's Pats all day.
Dang, I didn't even think about that. I
Yes, sir.
knew in my mind I needed to pick against them, but I didn't even think about last week.
Now you know why?
Yeah. So, I mean, if you guys missed last episode, Matt, you took the Thursday night game. You took the Rams because you knew that the
Vikings.
Sorry, I couldn't think of the name. They just, lost to the Lions that previous week. So then you're playing the Lions, hangover game. And then even though the Cowboys had a bye in between, you went against the Cowboys in that matchup. And you picked the 49ers. And so it worked out twice.
Yep.
One thing we didn't get into, which I don't want to get into though, but kind of just want to address it, was like that Thursday night football game. That was wild that they didn't catch that face mask. Like that was insane. Like absolutely. Like there's video of like him literally just looking at it and then not calling it. Like I'm not saying the Vikings would have won the game. I'm not defending my pick or anything like that. But I'm just like, when you see that, I'm just like, that is crazy that it's not challengeable and nobody else on the field. Like I saw it from my fucking couch. You're telling me you didn't see from 4 feet away?
My favorite was the defender's reaction.
Yes,
that
he was like this, like 'cause he knew he
Yes.
did it, and then he runs away, and no one called it. It's like he literally knew he got in trouble,
That was
and then
the
it's
best
like
part.
the teacher just let him get away with it. Like, oh, just scram, get on out of here.
Yeah.
I won't call it this time. So,
Yeah.
no, very interesting. But Matt, I know it gets you all riled up and sweaty and nice and warm to talk about the Chargers. I went with the Chargers because I am a fan of them. But I like their defense. I like Harbaugh as a coach. But I'll let you go more in depth on this pick. Because I know you're like your Rams was always your number 2 because of Stafford. But I feel like if you had an AFC, NFC, like AFC is the Chargers for you. Like that is because of Harbaugh. Like maybe that's me picking it for you, but that's kind of how I got the vibe.
I mean, I am trending, because to me,
Los Angeles Matt.
yeah, maybe. So
Rams and
I mean,
Chargers.
it's because I'm still trying to make my prediction come true. For some reason, I would love to be right. It doesn't look like it right now, but I'd love for the Chargers to take over that division like I predicted.
A 7-0 Chiefs.
I know, but that's my ultimate goal at the end of the day. Like that would be awesome if I'm right in that prediction.
Give him a
'cause
few years, yeah.
That's such a bold prediction, right? But I like the fact that Justin Herbert is kind of stepping back into that role of being the great passer that we know his potential that he had. Those first couple weeks, obviously you can't throw for 100 and some yards and still try to stay in that elite category. So the balance of that was J.K. Dobbins, just looking like, pre
ACL, yeah,
ACL tear,
multiple times,
he
Achilles.
he looked like he was back to form. That's kind of balancing back out to now the passing game is able to take over. So they look like more of a complete team. And obviously I'm gonna side with the coaching ability of Harbaugh for this team. So
Yeah.
I can see Fancy's, pick for the Browns because you might have this
Impressive
new
win.
life. You might not have this new life with Winston, but that didn't on this pick anyways. It did not persuade me away from the Chargers and what they're able to do right now.
Yeah, foundation wise, I love the Chargers a lot more than the Browns, just because the Browns are another one of those things too. It's a dumpster fire. I love Jameis Winston to death. Yeah, like literally one of my favorite NFL players of all time. He is hilarious, loved by every single one of his teammates. My like wish was for Jamal Williams to come with him to Cleveland and then start with him because that'd be awesome. But going back to the Chargers, like you said, I think it's been very interesting. What they forget about is Herbert was Herbert had that foot injury that was lingering into the season that they talked about maybe might even keep him out of the first couple weeks of the season. So I think when you saw that surge of J.K. Dobbins in the beginning was like, we have to rely on the run game because the pass game just is not there yet. Of like Herbert is not, he
That's
cannot,
fair.
we can't rely on him. And so now that Dobbins can't do it still, but if you can balance it back out, like it's starting to shift back to a balanced offense of like he can go for 80 yards, Herbert can go for 250 plus, and then we can win games that way. That's kind of where I stood at it too. Ladd McConkey looking really good the last week. Yeah, I mean that's kind of what I saw about it. But Fancy, you just sticking up for your boy Marcus or what?
Yeah, I mean, it was definitely exciting to watch what they do to the Ravens. The Ravens have been kind of on the radar for me as possible, not fraud, but overhyped.
Okay.
And to see the way James Winston just went in there, anytime a guy gets that chance, another opportunity, and you see like how ecstatic they are to have that second win, like that second chance. Because I mean, you go ask anybody, like your last game, if you could play it differently, like give it one more shot to maybe make that playoff. Like, it's like they definitely would empty the tanks, and this is the way he talked in his post game interview and everything. Like it really gave me that confidence that it's like this guy, kind of like the same way Baker is. It's like he not by any means winning an MVP, but will do whatever it takes for his guys. He's not going out because he's tired. He's not gonna go headfirst into a defensive player and sit out for 6 weeks. And
Yeah.
he's gonna play smart football and really just enjoy the moment. And I like that the most. That's what
Yeah.
got me
Well,
going.
and what's interesting about Winston is the way he had success. People remember Winston as the 30 for 30. 30
Mhm.
picks, 30 touchdowns. That's what he did in Tampa Bay, right? He threw 30 touchdowns, 30 picks. What we saw against the Ravens, yes, like I think this will be the real test for me. That's why I went against it. Was like the Ravens secondary. We talked about it. It's been awful all season. But Winston threw for 334 and 3 touchdowns with no turnovers.
Yeah.
With no Amari Cooper.
Yeah, but let's be honest, that was a turnover. He lost the game. But the Ravens defender just decided to somehow not catch that ball. I mean,
Yeah.
he literally threw it to that defender as if he was his wide receiver and
He got
somehow did not
LASIK
catch
done,
that.
man. He's still dialing it in.
I don't
But
know.
hey,
I mean,
That's how confident he was in their pass defense
he's
being
like,
asked.
yeah.
Like, let me explain to you how bad they are.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, we'll see what happens in that one, Matt. If you can move us on to the next one.
you got it.
All right. Then right back to the fraud alert for Fancy. The Ravens Broncos. We all took the Ravens. Nothing to really say. We kind of talked about how there shouldn't be a -9 or a -9 plus. Like the spread being 9 was kind of high, especially with the Ravens maybe going against probably the best defense they'll see all year in the Broncos, and the Broncos going up against probably the worst defense they'll see this year too. But we all did take the Ravens. I mean, nothing's going to be too crazy in that game. I think it's going to be a low scoring game, though. I think the Ravens defense is going to have to kind of figure it out, and Harbaugh could probably lock in a good game plan for the rookie Bo Nix. But I would say one of the matchups of the week, if not the one below it, the Bears and the Cardinals. I was surprised that you guys went with the Bears. We saw the Bears come down, and I mean, Dude, the amount of text messages I got, fancy. Like, fancy. The amount of text messages, and then like the thing was, it wasn't even it wasn't even the text messages. Like the text messages got me satisfied. I was like, this is great. Like the
Yeah.
Eagles won. Like like it's great. It's a good feeling, But what happened was like 30, 45 minutes later, that footage came out of number 29, whatever his name is, and like,
Yeah.
doing all this stuff.
Oh yeah.
And it was like they had to get pissed off again. And it was like, dude, I'm so fucking done with this team. And it's like, you're 4-3. You can't be. Like, you can't be done. Like, there's still more to be done. There's still more disappointment to happen.
Yeah,
You know what I
you
mean?
have so much more misery
Yeah.
to endure.
Dude, and then it was like so it was like that, and then number 2, and then number 3 was their coach saying, "Oh no, the play before that didn't even impact the last play." Did you guys see that?
I didn't know he said that.
Yeah, so if you guys aren't familiar, they had like about a 12-15 yard play to get them closer, where like Bears defenders were like nowhere really around. They just kind of ran like a quick little route, 2 seconds. I think Greg Olsen or one of the guys was literally saying, I think it might have been Tony Romo. He was literally saying like, you need to get a 12-15 yards to make this a more makeable throw for Jaden Daniels, especially with hurting ribs. And then they did it, and then the Bears head coach basically came on and said like, "Oh no, that play didn't have the impact at all." It's like, and then on the other side, Dan Quinn came out and was like, "That play was instrumental on us having success." So it was like the Bears are like, "What the fuck are we doing?" Like all week long, dude, I've really gotten texts of like the Bears are gonna fire Eberflus and they're gonna hire Ben Johnson. I'm just like, okay, guys, like, yeah, and fucking Bill Belichick is gonna come save the Bears. It's like, dude, it like their train was going like nice and smooth at 4-2, and it was like, okay, cool. Like I told you guys, Washington, Arizona, and then Patriots next week, they should be 7-2, right? It's like they hit that and they just like sunk. They're like, what the fuck is going on now? We need to get rid of this guy. This guy's got to go. It's like they're freaking out, and it's just like it's so funny to see. Like it's amazing. With that being said, that is my logic of going against them. If they go to 4-4 because they lose to Kyler and the Cardinals, this is not like me memeing the Bears. Kyler and the Cardinals looked great last week. I mean, nobody had them winning the game besides you, Fancy. So that's why I was kind of shocked I didn't see on my side here. Was there's definitely been more games that they've been less favored in. But yeah, that's why I went with the Cardinals. So you guys can tell me why the Bears. I'll listen to you guys, but Caleb Williams is quite literally the reason why I lost in DK. So
go ahead, Matt. Be my guest.
Yeah. So with the Bears, on this one, it's kind of that you have such a horrific ending to a game like that. It's going to go one of two ways, right? You either right the ship because you've got so much hype for this season and so much aspirations, or this is the thing that sends them into the abyss and there's no recovery.
Like you got one easy win left, and it's the Patriots. After that, it's like Lions, Seahawks, 49ers, Packers, Lions. It's like
you're through the gauntlet after that. So that's why to me it's more of the do they have it in them?
You have to do this.
Yeah, do they have it in them? Because if not, it's gonna be bad.
Fast.
Yeah, it's definitely their last like warm up.
And it's not. The Cardinals have a great defense.
Exactly. Too, yeah. It's not going to be an easy one, but this is like the easiest one for a while.
Yeah.
And I mean, I was shocked. I was honestly shocked that they took the lead to begin with. Like to even
they did come back. It was like 10.
Yeah, the fact that they come back, I was like, oh, okay. And so then when the Hail Mary, that was. I mean,
and honestly, that is on coaching. Like it is on coaching and it is on the defense. Like Caleb got his team back in the lead, and they got him again. They probably should not have won. How much time?
What was it?
Exactly. I mean, it was less than like
48 seconds or something like that.
Yeah. Well, I think it was even less than that. I thought because they just ran like a quick couple out of bounds.
Oh yeah, it might have been like 20 something. I think. Yeah. Exactly.
And so it's like that's what you need to do as a quarterback, and your defense and your team failed you. That's what it was.
Yeah.
But then we have the Eagles against the Jags. We all jumped on board the Packers last week. I think you see a very similar thing. I don't think, not shading the Packers or anything like that, but I don't think the Eagles, with the way their defense is playing, I don't think they'll have as many points to the Jags, unless the Jags are starting to get maybe better some way. They did trade on one of their top offensive linemen to the Vikings, so we'll see how much pressure the Eagles get in that game. But we all do have the Eagles. And then the matchup of the week, in my opinion, I wish it was the Sunday night game. I really, really wish it was a Sunday night game.
Yeah.
we have the Packers and the Lions. I'm gonna do all the talking here because fuck. No, obviously, I told you, Matt. I don't know. I can't really. It's the Lions and the Chiefs for me. I can't go against them anymore because every single time I have, I think I've gone to the line against the Lions 3 times, and obviously it's only worked out once out of those 3. Yeah,
It's good to have you over here.
Yeah, it's just one of those where I know I always side on the fact that in these matchups, the Green Bay wins at home, Lions win at home, the Bears win, type of thing.
Yeah.
But if Love does miss, I think it's going to be tough for Malik Willis to keep up with. Like, that Lions offense is a juggernaut right now. Like, they are firing on all fucking cylinders. So that's kind of where I just was like, I'm gonna just stay. You're riding the hot hand, 13-3. I know you're gonna pick the Lions every week, but I'm just like, I'm just gonna ride it. Like,
Well, yeah, I mean, like I tell you, when I pick the Lions here, of course I'm gonna pick my team, but when we did our season long one, yeah, I saw them splitting, and the one at Lambeau is a tough game to win. So
I think you had it splitting too.
Yeah, so my original pick was for them on the outlook of the season, but right now, they're playing really well. You don't know what they're going to do offensively. They can, they're literally having running backs or wide receivers throw touchdowns. They're having the opportunity. How are you going to stop an offense that any play call can be called there? So, one thing, he's already out. One thing we didn't talk about is Jameson Williams being a dumbass
Multiple times.
Yep. Not only was he already going to be out because of the suspension, potentially facing some stuff down the line because him and his brother are out late at night. And then there were guns in the car. Turns out he doesn't have a CPL. But because the sergeant that came on scene was a Lions fan, he let him go. So that's being investigated. So that's being investigated right now. So you're probably going to see if they do take legal action. We might be missing our wild card, for a few more weeks, but we'll see.
Yeah, I think it's the reason I laughed was you talk about how anyone could score, and it's like like legitimate reports. I'm not kidding you. It'd be like Penny Sewell or whatever his name is like threw some passes at practice. I'm just like, Jesus Christ, like it's like I'm just like I like, you know what I mean? It's like pretty soon the center's not going to snap the football. He's going to step back and throw it. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know what. It's just like, that's why I laugh, because I see the reports. I'm just like, I don't know what is going on. So, but fancy. I mean, the owner.
Yeah,
Packers owner.
It's going to be a tough week.
Are you going to be in a suite or?
I have to work that day. Got to deal with some shareholder stuff. Just stuff I can't really discuss.
Schedule next week, or next
fans,
week. You guys wouldn't understand. Yeah.
We got to alert some new season ticket holders that they finally, after 60 years, got their tickets. But
they're dead now.
Yeah, it's a tough one. It's always a tough one. It's tougher without Love. Malik Willis does give me hope that it's like,
well, and he hasn't been ruled out yet. They said
no. I mean, he is not ruled out. He didn't practice. They got.
He was hopeful. He was hopeful to play. Which is he going to go in there and play 3 snaps and then leave again? Like,
it's not like I would rather, just like whenever he got hurt with the Eagles, it's like, let's not rush him back. And we have the bye after this week, so if our defense can manage, our offense can manage.
Right.
With the weapons that we have. So it's just a matter of don't let it get away from you. And
this one's going to be one of those where you guys got to keep it in front of you, because once it gets running away, and it's almost one of those things. I guess what I want to ask you, like you said, because I did know that Love is on a bye next week. Would you rather that just game plan for Malik Willis now? Like Willis,
yes,
you are starting, and we will go into the bye week 6-3, and we're okay. Like, are you? Like, you rather
like
have that?
That is what I told Matt today. LaFleur obviously was the plan going forward.
That got me. I was like, wait, what did you guys talk? I'm like, that's why I was like, what did you guys talk?
So latest report that I saw, didn't practice. Obviously,
but hopefully
they're going to try to. But hopeful has a realistic chance of playing.
I just worry, like, as a fantasy owner too, for him, of like, if he keeps going out there and like doing something with his knee, it's like, when is it going to be a tear? Like, at what point do we keep pushing him to go out there? That's why I'm just like, go with a Malik Willis. sit him down next week, sit him down, and he'll be 100% good to go for week 11. Like,
Well, and
Yeah.
to me, just like the hamstring issues, which it seems like they're being very cautious with, this is a groin injury. It's the same. It's the same thing. It's you have a chance to aggravate that thing to where you're going to be out for
Mike Evans,
exactly.
he should have just missed that one Thursday night game or whatever it was, and if he did, he wouldn't be out for 3 weeks. It's
Yeah,
like,
and a lot of these guys, they are being overly cautious with them, but that's why I know it's a huge divisional game, but if you
but
put
but
him
that's
in,
what I was gonna ask you guys. Is it though? Because if the Packers win, you're 6-2, you guys are fine, and they go to 7-2, you guys are still fine. Like once they get in a bye, you guys will gain a win back. You'll be okay. And then it's like if the Packers lose, they go 6-3 into a bye and get their team healthy. It's like both of you guys are gonna make playoffs. Like
Yeah.
now,
yeah.
division winner, sure, but it's like, would you rather not like game plan with Love for the future? Like I'm talking about
True.
the whole playoff rather than like rush them back of like, yay, we went 7-2, but now Love's out for 6 weeks. It's like, do you
Right.
make playoffs now? Like,
No, I
don't
definitely.
know. It's like,
That's I am a firm believer, and I know you guys have seen this happen before with other teams where it's like he's hopeful for the sake of trying to disrupt
fuck with
Dan
the other
Campbell's
team. Yeah.
plans.
You
Yeah,
have
it's
to
like that's it.
plan for
Yeah,
it because it's two different quarterbacks, right?
Yeah,
It's like
yeah.
you can't throw 'em off
exactly.
the team a little bit, 100%.
Yeah, it's like that's
So-
what I think it is. I don't
so,
see him
yeah,
starting.
you see it as coach speak, basically just saying, "Oh yeah, he has a
They
chance."
legally
to play.
don't have to rule him out yet, so it's like let's just make it
Yeah.
a game time decision.
Yeah.
That way, it's like, oh,
Yeah.
okay, like
Could be true.
And yeah,
you can move us on to the next one, Matt. No, I absolutely agree. I could definitely see that being a thing. Notable teams that are on a bye, obviously only 2 this week, so there all will be 15 games. We did pick 11 of the same matchups. So like I said, 26-3 in the last 3 weeks. So if you ride the 11 matchups that we have this week, should be looking pretty good. But the Steelers and the 49ers both on the byes. Steelers going on the bye on 6-2, a lot better than we thought. Fancy, your prediction of them going under 500 this year probably won't happen. I'm
Yeah.
assuming they can win 3 out of the next 8. But
boy,
never
howdy,
know.
what would happen?
Never know. And then the 49ers 4-4. They need this bye week more than anyone.
That's why I said it would be
else.
under 500. I don't know why I keep saying so. I said Niners. It just sounds like Steelers. I said the Pittsburgh Niners.
Yeah, Mike Tomlin and the 49ers definitely
Yeah.
sound a lot like each other.
Yeah.
For sure.
Same
That's
thing.
definitely on me. I'll take that one. Like
Shanahan.
Shanahan, Tomlin, Shanahan. But we have the Rams and the Seahawks. A very honestly, like one of those games. This is a lot more important game than most people are probably realizing because
Very exciting.
Rams are starting to get a lot more healthy on that offensive side, and the Seahawks did look somewhat decent last week to get back in the win column. But Seattle at home, I had to take them. Like I told you guys, Matt, there's certain teams that I think if you pick them at home out of their 8 home games, you'll go 6-2 most of the season. And so for me, the Rams got it back. It's kind of crazy now to say that now because we're recording this Wednesday night. This will be put up Thursday afternoon. When I made the pick on Monday night before making the graphic, I was thinking that Cooper Kupp was going to be traded. So I was thinking one less because we saw the farewell post, so I didn't know. I'm just like I could see him moving over somewhere. Maybe they trade him to the Steelers. He gets an early bye, learns the playbook. Like that's what would make sense to me in my mind was like, or even the 49ers. It's like I don't know if they can afford them, but it's like they're missing out on guys with health wise. So I didn't know if he's going to get moved.
The Jets.
But it doesn't even matter though. I still do like. Yeah, who are they going to throw to? Adams, Wilson, Mike Williams, Cooper Kupp, like Breece Hall. Does LaDainian Tomlinson want to still play, or maybe like Matt Forte or anyone else? But I still do like Seattle, even though the Rams do have Cooper Kupp. Like Matt, me and you've mentioned 1,000 times, Geno Smith is still probably I don't know like statistically, but I think he's still a number 1 passing leader. He's averaging like 270 a game. I mean, he's up there. So he's gonna throw the football. The Rams did look good. We saw them beat the Vikings unexpectedly. So it could very well happen here as well. I just view it as one of those things where that NFC West is kind of wide open right now. And if so, Seattle's going to try to move up a little bit. Now's the time to do it with the 49ers on a bye. And I mean, you guys are favoring the Bears against the Cardinals. So if the Cardinals do lose and Seattle wins, that kind of puts them on top of things here. But although, obviously you guys are going to say it's a big game for them too, because they can be put right back into the column too. So, but it's definitely a coin flip game for me. Like I went back and forth looking at it and I was like home team. Like that's
I mean, but the Rams, just like I talked about last week, and we only thought Cooper was going to be back with Puka back
That
too.
dude,
You know what I mean?
that was
That's
sneaky. That was
yeah.
sneaky. It was like 3 hours before. It was like Puka is active. I'm like, what? Like,
Yeah, that was huge. So he went 7 for 106.
did you
Puka did.
see 62%? 62% of fantasy owners had him on the bench
Wow.
Oh God.
And then
because it was a late time decision. They were probably like, he's gonna be a decoy. Like,
Yeah.
and especially for that Thursday night game, you know what I mean? You're not quite ready for it either. And then Cooper Kupp, a quiet 5 for 51, but gets that touchdown. So
yeah, I started him that week too. It was great.
yeah, so it's one of those
16
things
points.
where when you have both those guys out there,
And
that
Williams, I mean, Williams is not being talked about all this year. He fell to
Yep.
the 3rd round in most fantasy leagues because people were scared that he was going to get overtaken by Blake Corum, and then the whole punt returner and kick returner. I mean, the value in fantasy football dropped off so much, and he's the leading. I mean, not leading in the league because obviously I think Henry is, but dude, he's got a touchdown every single game this year. Every single game. I mean, multiple some games. And we saw it last year where his line was a 1.5, just like CMC was. And so, I mean, like you said, Cooper Kupp, Nakua, Williams, you get those 3 going, and I mean,
yep. So
Oh,
I
those-
mean, this is a high over under 48.5, but I think that's the type of game that this is
I
where
think it's gonna be a shootout.
where
Just-
it's drive for drive. You're just going back
I
and
love
forth.
those games, man.
Yeah.
It's so fun to see. I know defense is fun to watch sometimes too, but dude, is it fun when it's like just one punch, another punch, another they just like keep going back and forth, and it's
Yep.
like 21-21 at a half. You're just like, holy shit, buckle
That's
in,
what I'm hoping for here. So
yeah, I basically same thing. Puka's back. Didn't see that coming until last week. I was like, okay, that's a lot for. I mean, that's what takes the Rams back to the Rams for me. And then Geno Smith said last week at home against the Bills, it felt like an away game. That's how loud it was. That's how much Bills Mafia traveled. And so I'm like, if they're not selling enough home tickets to make it,
Yeah.
the 12th man effect.
Bills
like-
Mafia is a little crazy.
I know.
No, I agree though. That is
if
that
there's
is a
anybody
crazy,
that's gonna do it, but for
Yeah.
him to say that at home, it's like,
Yeah.
mm,
And Matt, I actually messed up. That was an 8, so 82%, not 62%. So 82% of people
Wow,
bench
okay.
Puka.
oh wow,
Yep, because I saw tweets of like, if I put him in, he goes 0-0-0, like for sure. But if I don't put him in, he goes for 100 plus and a touchdown, and then that's literally exactly what happened. So, and then we all took the Vikings over the Colts in Sunday Night Football. The Vikings need to bounce back, and they probably will. Richardson getting benched, Vikings just a much better team at home. Big important game for the Vikings to win. To go 6-2 to not fall out of that divisional, division championship race with you guys.
Mhm.
And then Monday Night Football, which I definitely decide. I part of me when I looked at it, I'm like, this might be the only time Fancy I'm like, this is like messing with Fancy's emotions. So just like he wants to go Baker, and he really wants to, but 7 of Fancy's wins are all from picking the Chiefs every single week, and I don't think Fancy's gonna ever not pick them. I will say I went against Bucks last week. Fancy, I think that's when you took them. We mentioned Big Mike and Chris Godwin out.
It still didn't do bad.
No, they did not at all.
What was it, 5 points?
Yeah,
Something like that?
but Kansas City's defense is gonna be much better than
yeah.
what Atlanta's was, and then also in Arrowhead, I just Hopkins getting situated there, Kelsey starting to flourish, Kareem Hunt, one of the best things the Chiefs that happened to the Chiefs this season. Honestly, when Pacheco gets back late in the season, it's gonna be real interesting what they do with Pacheco and Hunt, because I think they're very similar backs. But they can just run a system, dude, when they run the football like 40 times
just
a
like
game.
the way the freaking Lions do it.
They can literally just run the football 40 times a game and they can get away with it. Because then you got to watch Kelsey, Hopkins, and Xavier Worthy. You still have to watch the deep shot with Xavier Worthy. Like it's always there. You know what I mean? So
You can rotate your players, so you don't have to worry about fatigue as much.
Yep. I will say almost a -9 spread. I feel like it's a little bit disrespectful to the Bucks because they did just keep up with the Falcons. But for me, I did kind of want to go with the Bucks just because it's not favored, so I'm trying to catch up on picks. You know what I mean? I'm trying to pick my poison of when I want to go against the threshold.
Right.
But for me, that was one of those where,
And you said you never would again.
Yeah. So that was the deciding factor. I said I wouldn't do it.
1 week after he
I
picks the
said
Bucks.
I said I wouldn't do it, and because I think I'm 4-3 with the Chiefs. Like I've gone
Yeah.
against them 3 times, so it's like I've done my due diligence, and it's like I'm good. I will take them all the way up to the Super Bowl unless they play the Eagles, obviously. So, Matt, you got anything for the Chiefs, or just kind of just Mahomes all the way?
No, yeah, I mean, I'm gonna start, I guess, picking the Chiefs if they're doing pretty well right now. But I will say we were right in our assessment of Cade Otton being kind of that number one target now that the Mike Evans and Godwin are out. He scored 2 touchdowns
It looked good.
last week, nine receptions, 81 yards. So obviously that's his target now. Now that the 2 main wide receivers are gone. So if they figure things out, with their wide receivers now that they're out right now, they could have a shot at keeping up with KC, but until they figure that out, you can't just go to the tight end. And then obviously this having the 2 backs, Bucky Irving and then Rashad White, trying to figure that backfield out still. Unfortunately, you're not going to have success.
I do like Irving though. It's
Dude, he's explosive, man.
Yeah,
He's so much better than Rashad White. It's insane. Like,
it's really fun. And what I am curious, because also, Tuesday's a big day for this country because trade deadline. And I want to see if the Bucks pull anything up, I want to
thought
see
Tuesday was like the voting day or something.
it is.
I know.
I
It's
think
just
I think that's where he's going with that one.
But I want to see like if the Bucks pull any strings at all to just, I mean, they're not out of it at all.
Yeah, I mean, we got them dropping a 4 and 5 here. Mike, then they hit the bye, and then Mike Evans should be back after that, I think. So.
Yeah, and if they get Mike Evans back, possibly, and pick somebody up trade deadline, like just
Cooper
I
Kupp?
mean, dude, imagine Devontae Adams.
And then we'll go into our DK segments. Matt, you won, so congrats. We're letting you catch back up. Me and Fancy were at 3, you were at 1, so it was like kind of helping the little brother out.
I don't know if you saw it too. It was that garbage time for Dak that really pushed. I think I was like 2 points back or something like that. It was getting close, and then Dak gets that garbage touchdown.
I usually always forget to check until like all the games are done. I'm like, how'd I do? Like,
no. I literally am like, please, Dak, do your best at being the worst and score that meaningless touchdown. He did, and that's what pushed him in.
We all had Kareem Hunt in this lineup. He didn't do bad whatsoever. He scored an early touchdown. Fancy, me and you, Josh Jacobs worked out great for us. Darnell Mooney was great for me. Kraft was good for us too, Fancy.
Oh yeah.
And then Devontae Smith, I told you guys he had the one catch 6 yards in the game before. It's like there's just no way that they don't get him involved now because it's like he's such a team guy that they're going to make sure they game plan on him. Fancy, the all Packers didn't work out quite as well.
Nothing worked out.
As maybe we thought. But Matt, you winning. I mean, you just had consistency across the board. Like you said, Prescott 15, Hunt 13, Brown 13, Thomas. I mean, I think Thomas is going to miss this week too. They said because I saw he was projected at 0 points. So
MRI was clean on the ribs, but they're still it's still like they're thinking it's the cartilage that connects. Like
I saw like the guy. There's a guy on TikTok that does all this. He's a doctor or like one of those guys. Like he does that shit, so he can tell you all that stuff. But this is one of those weeks where we saw the double tight end thing work for you. Them at 29 points and 15, and then the Chargers. You guys see on the graphic, we had the little trophies. So I'm at 3 wins. Fancy's at 3 wins, and then Matt, you are at 2 wins. And so that was our last week's lineups, and we have this week's lineup for you guys. We had another one, Lad. So we all went Lad McConkey. We saw him do enough. So we almost had another one though with Swift. Matt, you're the one to do Swift though. But for me, Darnold, good matchup. He gets TJ Hawkinson back. I think he gets them involved quite a bit. I love Kareem Hunt. Like every single week, he gets a touchdown with the Chiefs. I think it's a very reliable offense to go in. Swift has been awesome, Fancy. I mean, you see it too. Like, when the Bears get going, Swift is going too. So that's just how it works. We all pick McConkey. Devontae Smith just riding the hot hand against a weak defense. Same thing with Sutton. They're going to have to throw the football if they want to keep up the Ravens. He's going to be the beneficiary of that. Cade Otton, obviously, there's nothing need to be said about that. We know Cade Otton has been 100+ yards almost back-to-back games now. And then I picked the Chargers defense against the Browns. Kind of, I don't know if the Browns are legit enough to continue what they did last week. And then the Zach Moss is where I got confused at, Matt, was I could have had Tracy there, but I think I swapped him out when he got hurt, and then I sent you
That's
the
what it
thing.
was.
So
Okay.
I took Zach Moss, favorable matchup against the Raiders. Just kind of hoping for a touchdown or something there, something simple. So
Yeah. Oh man, I got Winston. Like I kind of said earlier, he's just one of those guys that gets me hyped up that he's gonna do whatever he possibly can. You won't have you won't doubt his dedication of what he's gonna try
he
to
ain't
do.
leaving the game tired.
Yeah, he's gonna get out there and maybe maybe a little bit of magic. I'm not expecting a whole lot, but maybe better than Dak Prescott and with Mostert, I'm not sure. Like, does Tua make it a full game? If he does, Mostert still probably get me some points. If not, then he's gonna get me more points. You said everything I need to know about Swift, McConkey, obviously, Olave.
Their car back. I mean,
With Derek Carr back,
it's
that's
like
a good pick.
that's a. I mean, I don't know. It talks for itself. Calvin Ridley, the only person that produces for the Tennessee Titans. Bowers, we've
most consistent
praised
number one
him
tight end, yeah.
all year, and so yeah, I mean, I'm gonna pick him, and then Pittman.
And Pittman's gonna be better now with Flacco. I like that pick a lot. I really do, especially at that price. I feel like that's really low.
I didn't know. I was like, that was kind of like that was my last guy I picked with my money, and I was like, and then
the
Flacco's gonna
defense
start.
against the Cowboys. I love it,
dude. Dak for 2 picks.
That's kind of crazy. Look, this is something that I just realized right now. Look at this. I have the Vikings quarterback. Matt, you have. Oh no, I was thinking you had Colts. Oh, because I have Chargers defense. Fancy has Winston, which would be going against each other.
Yep.
He's got Falcons defense, and you have Prescott. So if you had Indy's defense, who actually Indy's defense is really good, we all would have defenses going against one of each other's quarterbacks. That would have been pretty cool.
Right.
That would have been pretty crazy.
Yeah.
Yep. So I'm gonna go Dak again. I think Atlanta runs away with it. Therefore, we're gonna get a passing game out of Dak again.
Points again.
Yep. Love that garbage time. Same kind of. It's kind of connected. Bijan, if they are up a good amount, Bijan's the run game's gonna be what they kind of run the clock out with. I did like the productivity out of Mostert, even though HN,
Yeah, that's the tough. I didn't want to call it out, but that's tough for me to take Mostert at 6K, because at 6K you can basically get Swift, Hunt. Like, there's guys that are number ones for sure, and HN was just used so much.
I know, but against the defense like Buffalo,
they're gonna have to ram it in a couple of times. Yeah,
I think he gets those goal line touches, which really gives him that value there. So that's why I'm able to take him there, because I like the goal line upside.
Yeah, he gets a touchdown. I mean, it's worth the points.
Yep, absolutely. Kind of again in that. I guess I got a lot going on in that Dallas Atlanta game. I went with Kirk being able to throw the ball, going to Mooney. It's my first week picking Hopkins. I think this is the week he's going to be able to have that game plan together for KC. Again, double tight end. I love Cade Otton's productivity, but I also like Trey McBride. He's got to get in the end zone. I think this is the weekend. This is the week that he does it. And then I picked the Vikings D before I knew Flacco was
which
playing.
Is a crazy statement. I picked the Vikings defense before I knew Joe Flacco was starting in 2024.
Yeah,
he's gonna tear him up. He's gonna get 2 or 3 touchdowns, but I think they're still gonna be able to get the pressure on him. Still get a couple sacks, maybe a fumble recovery. So I think it's worth it for the Vikings D.
Yeah, I think something that stood out to me. I think, and this could just be speculation, I think one of us is taking Darnell Mooney every single week, like literally every single week, which is kind of crazy.
Yep.
One of the last things we have besides trivia is we have our parlay that missed last week. Matt, you had Josh Allen over 225. It hit. Fancy, you had over 27.5 Packers points that hit. And then honestly, probably our favorite pick out of the 3 was my pick, Tyreek Hill touchdown anytime, and it didn't hit. So that was my first miss since week 1. So we're hoping to hit back on the drawing board. We have the parlay for this week for you guys. $25 to win 123 at plus 394. We have Matt, who loves the TJ Hawkinson receiving yards over 30.5. The reception line was not available, but Matt, you did say you like that. I don't think it's gonna be at like 1.5, 2.5, like you were thinking. If they're thinking over 30.5, 38.5, it's probably gonna be
True.
anywhere between 3.5 and 4.5. I think if it's 3.5, I absolutely will hit it.
Yeah, I was loving it. You know, I was really hoping since it's his first game back, they might just do it at 2.5. But you're right, 2.5, 3.5. I think absolutely they're going to get involved as first game back.
Yeah, 4.5 might be stretching it, but we'll see. But fancy with Jamar Chase, anytime touchdown. I feel like the weeks that you have like picked Bengals, which is a good week to pick them because they're going against the Raiders. But even when you picked Burrow and Jamar Chase as a duo in DraftKings, it's treated you very well.
Yeah.
So when you said that, I was like confident that you were confident in it. So I really did like it. And we all talked about the Patriots. Their line was like plus 2.5. I wasn't really comfortable with that, so I took the spread alternate at plus 7 to get us that plus 394, which I'm comfortable with. I think this is a good parlay to get us back on the board. And let us know down in the comments if you guys are going to tail us on that. We do have one more little segment before we end the episode, which is everyone's favorites part of the episode, so-called trivia time with Matt. So we will catch you guys on the flip side. Uh-oh. Nothing but
All right.
technical issues.
No, we're good. I think I'm sharing the right screen too, so hopefully it works out. All right, for trivia time, I mentioned it a little bit, told you the fun story about JMO, and escaping being arrested for that gun possession. So it made me kind of want to dive into all the different trouble that these NFL players have been in. There is a fun little spreadsheet.
Oh gosh.
That a guy from USA Today put together since 2000. So looking at that, a couple different ways I could have gone with this one. But what I would like for you guys to kind of think about is number of active NFL players that have been arrested since 2000. So
When you say active, they have to be still playing.
So while they were in the league, they got arrested.
While active in the NFL, they got arrested. Not, I was gonna say since 2000, there's no one even playing since 2000 anymore.
Right. No, so that's why. So
okay.
So while they were, so obviously in the history of it, some of the big ones are like, Ray Lewis.
What did he do? Adrian Peterson, Ray Rice
killed a couple guys allegedly.
OJ? No, OJ was earlier than that, right?
Yeah, OJ was in the 80s or whatever.
I mean, dude,
obviously, yeah, some of the recent
history. Where are you even like? Where does your mind?
Hernandez.
Where does your mind even go? Like, think about like Rashee Rice. Think about.
Yeah, who's the dude for the Vegas that drove his car?
Not John.
Ruggs.
Yeah.
Yeah. So looking at this list here, I'll give you.
Can we like get a hint? Like, is it triple digits? Because that's where my mind is going.
What do you mean by triple digits?
Like the amount of people.
300, 400, like 3 numbers.
There's a lot.
Oh God,
more than 3.
So it's 4 digits.
There's a lot.
So it's more than triple digit.
So you got to think about it this way. I mean, there's a lot. I can't.
Think about the backup lineman that like beat his wife and went to jail. That's why I'm. So
there's a lot of domestics. There's a lot of DUIs. There's a lot of assault and battery charges.
Tyreek.
This is kind of all over the place. But I mean,
there's literally no. I'm just gonna I don't even know, dude. I said triple digit. He said it's a lot, which means like makes me feel like is it into the thousands, Fancy? Like,
I mean, I would think so.
Really? Think about 24 years. How many? That would be like
If you had,
that'd be like 4 or 5 people getting arrested a year. I think.
and I think you have more than that. You probably each team probably has somebody get arrested that's technically on that 53.
I'm gonna go. I guess you go first, Fancy. I want to see what you're gonna do. I don't know.
I went first last time.
That's what she said. I'm gonna go
Always.
840. I don't want to give you like a random number like 842 because I don't even know. Like if
Right, that's
840
fine.
is in a ballpark, I'm gonna be happy. I don't even. Know
I'll give you plus or minus 25.
Okay. So give me a smooth 1,000. I think it's a
Pussy.
lot.
You just-
It's gonna be like 14,000. It's just like
So I almost thought that. I was like, maybe. There were some rough years.
1,090.
dude. I felt like
Ooh.
I felt like going over. Nice, Fancy. I felt like
Yeah.
going over 750 was crazy.
Yeah. So like I said, there's
Would I go
It-
840? Oh my.
yeah,
goodness.
840. I mean, that's. I tried to give you a hint without
oh.
giving you a hint because it's.
I
hard
was
to give you-
thinking 100
Right,
a
'cause then-
year.
Yeah, because then if you said no 4 digits, it's like we would have been guessing way closer to the numbers. That makes sense.
Exactly. Yeah.
Holy
So yeah,
shit.
if that this spreadsheet is crazy because it tells you like
Every
not
single person.
tell you the charge, but then it tells you like I'm just gonna pull one at random. Like so, this DUI pulled over on suspicion of drunken driving in Denver at 2:40 a.m.
Peyton Manning.
Also cited for driving without headlights on.
Hell yeah.
Like, come on, DJ Williams.
Yeah, what are we
dude.
doing?
Like, it's
And that's the thing is that's why in my mind I'm like, dude, most of these you're not even gonna like actually even know the players. It's like the practice squad guy that like just found a little bit of extra cash because he's making $750K a year. And, fuck it, let's go. Let's go.
And then how many of those have been arrested multiple times? It's like
Yeah,
what if that list was total arrest?
Well, and I did see that. Who's the guy? I think it's for the Chiefs. Who's the recent one this year that
You're right.
he had?
Oh no, the
No, no,
lineman. Yeah,
no,
the
the
lineman.
lineman.
Yes, it's just I don't know, but yeah, he got arrested too.
He got arrested and it was like multiple charges. So
It's wild. I do have one more thing. I didn't like go over this with you guys, but if you guys can, it's gonna take a little bit of time, maybe 10 minutes max. That's the goal here. Fancy, this is technically our Halloween episode, and I know you wanted to go like with some trick or treat thing, so I put together like a small little thing, somewhat. So you guys don't know what's going, but you have to make your own list. Okay, so I'm gonna give you guys 10 teams. Okay. I'll list the teams for you guys so you guys can write them down and then give you guys about a minute to scramble and what you want to do. Okay. So
right.
I'm going to give you guys the list of teams: Dolphins, Saints, Cowboys, Rams, Vikings, Bengals, Chargers, Ravens, Seahawks, and 49ers. Now, out of those 10, you need to split them 5 and 5 column, Halloween themed, trick or treat. So you got to think about their records. We can pull up the records if you guys would like to see them. I can, Matt, you can maybe pull up the graphic for us if there's a team. What was the record again? But most of these teams are maybe a game or two under 500, or they're at 500, or they're a game above 500. So I need you guys to tell me trick or treat. Trick being, hey, this team is 6-2. Let's say the Vikings, they're 6-2, but this team is a trick. They are not going to make playoffs. That's the concept of it. Or this is a treat. Hey, the Bengals are 3-5, but it's going to be a treat. They're going to make playoffs. They're going to surprise some teams going down the road here. So you get to tell me what you think out of these 10 teams. Which are tricks, which are treats.
So the treats are making the playoffs, the tricks are not.
Yeah, like necessarily don't even have to make playoffs, but you see them like flipping their season around, whether that's going, 9-8 or whatever. You know what I mean? Most of those teams that I named are probably playoff contending teams in some way. Like they could probably still make playoffs. So that's why I thought it'd be a fun. Those are the teams that are around that 500 marker.
Interesting.
So I give you guys I'll put a minute on the timer right now. For those of you
Do I have
guys
to-
that are
do I have to
listening,
do I have to rank them on the 1 through 5 or just
nope,
5
nope,
and 5?
just trick or treat. Simple as that. So I'll start the timer right now. For those of you guys that are listening, if you guys want to do this as well, awesome. If you guys are tailing our parlay, let us know down in the comments if you guys have been tailing the parlays. And I mean, hey, you should be up money because we are up money doing this. So that is awesome. But we have been posting on our socials very consistently. Matt's been doing an awesome job of the weekly leaderboards. We're doing a great job of the season leaderboards or the season stat leaders. And then whenever an important week on waiver wires, especially fantasy football sneaking into the playoffs, I've been putting up some pretty important waiver wire pickups on our TikTok as well. So our TikTok is growing. We want to say thank you for that, and our YouTube is also growing. We actually just started up the YouTube channel a year ago yesterday, which was Tuesday. So you guys will be listening to this on a Thursday. So we just appreciate you guys sticking with us. We've upgraded a lot of things. There's a lot of things that still need to be upgraded, but we're having a good time. We're having a fun time, and we just appreciate you guys being along for the ride. All right, your minute is up. Hopefully, you guys have your trick or treats. Matt, I will let you go first. Tell me who your treats are.
So I had to do some moving around. I don't like my list, but I've got Niners, Chargers, Vikings, Bengals, and Ravens.
All right. And then
I had
tell
to,
me.
I had to boot
and
the
then the rest.
Dolphins.
So
I had to boot the Dolphins out of there.
The tricks of the Dolphins, even though we all took them to win it, which is fair.
I know.
But the tricks of the Dolphins, the Saints, the Cowboys, the Rams, and the Seahawks.
Yep.
He kicked the Rams out of there.
Those are the Rams. I had to cross off as my last one, but
All right.
I had them on there, but
starting
not enough
out
room.
with the treats.
Oh, I got a lot of treats, man. I got the Ravens, the Vikings, the Seahawks, the Chargers.
Ravens, the Vikings, the Seahawks, the Chargers.
Yeah, Cincy and the Rams.
So 6.
You're supposed to do 5, not 6. Hey, Fancy giving out extra candy. That's fine.
I'm trying to look.
He's doing things his own way. That's fine. I mean,
Well, I was scribbling down because I was in a hurry.
I think it's because he counted the Cowboys twice on the other side.
I definitely spelled it Dallas.
no, that's interesting though. That's what I was interested in seeing. Fancy added the Seahawks. Matt, you didn't. That was the difference there. But you guys both have the Vikings. You both have the Chargers. You both have the Bengals. You both have the Ravens. So we know where Fancy kind of stood on the 49ers side of things. He thinks there's going to downslope. It has been a downslope. Matt, you just see them having more success in the future. But it is interesting that you guys picked 4 out of the 5 treats together, and that those were on my list too. I made my list. I didn't have the Vikings in the treat column, which was different than both of you guys. I had the Seahawks and the 49ers in that column. So we had the Bengals, Chargers, and Ravens all together as treats, which is interesting. They're like the Chargers and the Ravens are bordering that above 500, and the Bengals are just below that 500. So it's cool to see that we all kind of agree that the Bengals can switch things around. Just a fun podcast for sure. I kind of wrapped up things there while you guys were doing that, but you guys got anything else that you guys want to add or?
No, man, a lot of good football coming up.
Yep, exciting.
Free JMO.
Free JMO. Go and vote. Enjoy your Halloween and catch some football this weekend. And we will catch you guys next week. Later.